out of all the world, Latin America and it's maybe Central America is probably the most ripe for more adoption. But having said that, I'm seeing a lot of adoption through mining in Middle East. Bitcoin is energy that gets transferred through proof of work, and it turns into money, into information. And this information, you can store it anywhere, really. You can store it in your head.
Imagine leaving a life behind in the bustling financial hub of London to settle in the heart of Serbia. Well, that's exactly what Filip did in July of 2020, relocating his family to Belgrade. After years of working in traditional finance, Filip's worldview shifted when he encountered Bitcoin thought leaders like Daniel Prince, Samson Mow, and Michael Saylor. This revelation led to his involvement with Samson's company, Jan3, where his mission became clear: spread Bitcoin adoption, particularly through mining, to nations that could truly benefit from it. But how does one convince governments to embrace a decentralized currency? What's the key to helping nation-states unlock Bitcoin's potential as a tool for financial sovereignty? In this episode, Filip delves into his work with Jan3, sharing how they approach world leaders and officials aiming to drive nation-state Bitcoin adoption. Get ready to explore how Bitcoin isn't just an asset, it's a lifeline for countries seeking independence from the grips of the traditional finance system. But before we do that, I want to introduce our sponsors, Stampseed, the Orange Pill app, and Swan. Our partners are businesses and people that we respect and our products that we at Bit Intelligence personally use. You're watching 21 Voices.
So my name is Prince Filip of Serbia, or Yugoslavia. I am the hereditary prince of Serbia, and now I'm the next in line after my father, but there's no functioning monarchy in Serbia. That was abolished during the Second World War when communism took over. Anyway, I am a Bitcoiner. I've been working in finance for 15 years, traditional finance that is, and I thought I had it all figured out, but no. And one of my best friends, he called me and he's like, "Hey Filip, have you seen this Bitcoin thing? It's kind of going up and it's a great inflation hedge. We're only going to print 21 million of it. It's a good investment. Check it out. I'll teach you how to buy it and how to store it." So he did, and I got into it. But I was distracted by the other things as well, other altcoins and the ICOs back then with a big craze. And so I lost a bit of money doing that, but I guess that's part of the learning process. But I always knew that Bitcoin was king. I still held it during the bear market, and I hardly held any other altcoins. But then 2020 came, and before the halving, COVID happened, and that was a bit of an eye-opener. And that led me to study a bit more Bitcoin more. I saw how the markets behaved, how quantitative easing went into overdrive, how these stimulus checks were dashed out like candy, and I thought this is not right, you know. And I have Bitcoin. I know a little bit about Bitcoin, but I'm going to study more about it. So I bought the Bitcoin Standard. I logged onto Bitcoin Twitter. I read a lot of articles, and next thing I know, it's just like, wow, okay, I get it. It was kind of gradual, but it had some moments of epiphanies where it's just like, yes, amazing. I've got the keys of the future of salvation in my pocket right now. This is incredible. So the old coins I had, I just sold instantly. I was like, there's no need for these. Those are all distractions. I'm a maxi, I guess. Meanwhile, my wife and I, we're kind of active in Serbia. We live downtown. We're quite active socially on social media and touring Serbia. And we try to give people a voice on our platform. We care about what's happening in the country. There's a lot of stuff in the country that's happening that I'm not very proud of, and I think the country there's a lot of room for improvement, but there's a lot of beautiful things in the country. The country is stunning, and I'm really happy that I moved back to Serbia and I'm learning the language. My wife is Serbian, my son is a native speaker. It's just great to getting back in touch with my roots. Things led to another where the biggest talk show host was like, "I got to have you guys on my show," and I was like, "Wow, that's amazing! That's great news." He found out that I'm into Bitcoin, and then during the filming, he asked me about my job. I'm there speaking monotonously about my job, but then he interrupts me. He's like, "It's now a good time to talk about crypto." And I then went on a rant saying, it's not about crypto, it's all about Bitcoin. And this video, this 3-minute 2-3 minute rant about Bitcoin went viral. And that's when a lot of the Bitcoin world reached out to me. I met with Samson, and Samson was just told me that he started a company called Jan3, and it's a company that's focusing on nation-state adoption, on speeding up hyper-Bitcoinization, and spreading Bitcoin technology around the world. And he's like, "I'm recruiting you. Do you want to join me?" So I didn't give him much thought. I was like, "Hell yeah." That was April 2022, and I transitioned out of my fiat job in asset management, and I finally went back to London to finish up my job in London for 1 week, and then the next week I'm full-time Bitcoiner working at Jan3. I have direct connections to people like the Prime Minister of Montenegro, or the President of Republika Srpska, which is the Serbian autonomous parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And that is one way, it's just direct, and I'll try to speak to them. And Miki Milorkovic, his nickname is Miki Spajic, who's the Prime Minister of Montenegro, who we met last June with Samson. We had a good meeting. It was recorded by HBO, which is a documentary that will be out later this year. But that was a very nice conversation with him, talking about potentially mining projects, community projects, even talking about legal tender, talking about putting it on the treasury. You know, he had his thoughts. He understands Bitcoin. We rely on local Bitcoiners who have contact with their politicians, with their presidents, and they reach out to us. Samson, when he created Jan3, he managed to get the niche of a recognition of we are the nation-state adoption company, the nation-state company for Bitcoin. So we have people all over the world reaching out to us saying, "Hey, we've got connection with so-and-so politician, with so-and-so prime minister maybe, or so-and-so minister," and things like that. "We need your help," or whatever. So like great. So we usually start up a Telegram group and we exchange notes and things. And if one thing leads to another, we end up meeting them. I mean, we have many groups going on right now, and some of them haven't materialized yet, but there's always constant communication. But things that I have sort of materialized to meetings, you know, we were in Costa Rica in March last year, where I presented at their national legislative assembly, and I talked about Bitcoin there for about a 10-minute speech, which was interesting. And we met with the vice president, a secret meeting that he didn't want it to be photographed, but I can talk about it now. This meeting was meant to last for 20 minutes. It actually ended up being 2 hours. So he's a finance guy. He's a PhD in economist, I think. So he's kind of fiaty, but we showed him. Samson does a good orange pill masterclass as well. And we also showed him Bitcoin in its different forms. Like we showed him how it transfers from one wallet to another. We showed it to him in a solid format, like in a Bitcoin chip, like poker chip that Samsung has as well, and on paper as well. And we just said, you know, we told him that, you know, Bitcoin is energy that gets transferred through proof of work, and it turns into money, into information. And this information, you can store it anywhere, really. You can store it in your head. That was an interesting meeting. Nothing's happened yet with the government there, but we met with some local Bitcoin miners that are mining Bitcoin through hydroelectricity, and there's a lot of that starting to happen now in Costa Rica and in the region. They have a lot of surplus energy. They get a lot of rainfall, and during parts of the year they have more energy than they can, more surplus energy they don't know what to do with it, and they can't sell it on. So what you can do is mine it. So we've been speaking to people how to get that started. Panama, we had conversations with people from the Panama Canal, because we think that's quite a strategic orange pill. If you can get Panama Canal to accept Bitcoin, and that's one way to spread it around the world. That was interesting. Suez Canal will be one, but we haven't got there yet. Then last November, Samson and Ben Van Hoel, who's our CEO, went to Suriname and met with the president there. And we're talking about a couple of strategies, mining, and the other one is actually putting it on their reserve, on their treasury, like a % or two. That's in the works. Samson also recently, a week or two after that, went to met the president of Colombia. I forget his name, but he's a socialist. But he's receptive to Bitcoin, which is interesting. Colombia is actually quite primed. Out of all the world, Latin America and maybe Central America is probably the most ripe for more adoption. But having said that, I'm seeing a lot of adoption through mining in Middle East. I was in Dubai just the other day, and I didn't have any meetings with any officials there, but I've met with people who have contacts, and getting a lot of inside info about what's happening in Abu Dhabi, that they're mining Bitcoin there. Dubai wants to do it. And then, of course, we heard the story of Oman. I think that they've invested 1.5 billion into mining Bitcoin. I believe Bahrain are doing it as well. I think it's pretty obvious now that Saudi Arabia have been mining it for a while, and they own a lot of it. Yeah, because of all the energy they have. So adoption there is happening at a very high level, at the elite level. But in Dubai, it was interesting because that is adoption that's already happening. They are very libertarian society. They're very open to technology. They're quite a neutral approach. So you can actually find a lot of places that will accept Bitcoin. But on top of that, it's a little bit Montenegro, a lot of altcoining, a lot of shitcoining happening in Montenegro, in Dubai, which is a bit sad. I had some meeting with some people with some payment service provided people who've helped to set up some fintech guys who helped to set up the whole credit card system there and stuff. And they're all talking about some altcoins that people a lot of these altcoin guys with a lot of money are trying to throw a lot of money into Dubai to try and get their products working there. Over time, these things will all fail. They won't stick. And the superior asset, the apex asset, which is Bitcoin, will stick. So a lot of people will find out.
Please bear with us for a quick message from our sponsors. These videos take a lot of time to make, and we've partnered with brands we trust like Stampseed and the Orange Pill app in order to get the funding we need to bring you these videos every week. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. When I finally got Bitcoin, it hit me like a lightning bolt. It was the currency of the future, the only money that truly mattered. But there was a problem. I didn't know anyone else that thought like me. That is until I discovered the Orange Pill app. Suddenly, I was connected with a network of like-minded Bitcoin enthusiasts, right in my own city. The Orange Pill app is more than just a social network. It's a community of passionate individuals determined to change the world, one Satoshi at a time. This series is brought to you by Swan and created by Bit Intelligence. Remember to like this video and subscribe to both our channels for more videos like this every week. Thanks for watching.
You're not going to get in El Salvador again for a while. The circumstances, the conditions for in El Salvador, for Bukele, who's rich, uncorruptible, orange-pilled, and has that drive to clean up the country and to put it under a Bitcoin standard and to make it legal tender there and compete against the dollar. Those conditions probably won't be recreated for another few years. But never say never. Bull market's about to happen right now. Anything can change. But I think what's driving adoption is mining. And as you just said, when we go and speak to countries, one of the things that we talk about is how mining can help them. And that's one thing what we're going to be doing at Jan 3 is setting up, for example, like special purpose vehicles where people can invest in mining projects. And we want to work particularly with the government, so it creates a private-public partnership. And it's important to have that public element, the governmental element, that they are involved in Bitcoin mining, something Bitcoin, so they will be kind to it. And that will give it more credibility and less likely for them to start trying to ban it or put really bad. I mean, you can't really ban Bitcoin, but put terrible laws on it. They'll actually be more open, and they'll realize that while it's fixing their energy grids, while it's giving them this extra income, they will get orange pilled more and more, and they'll realize that Bitcoin actually is amazing. It's a way of funding projects, infrastructure projects. There's a way to improve your energy grids. There's a way to find new forms of energy. It's going to drive the renewable market, the correct renewable market, without relying on people are using subsidies, especially in the EU, for like solar and wind projects, who I think are all going to fail, especially when the subsidies dry up. But I find that Bitcoin mining is going to drive the actual proper renewable market. Like, I'm quite bullish about nuclear, but I'm very bullish about geothermal in some parts of the world, and especially where I'm from in Serbia. So, and eventually I'll try to. Serbia has great potential for geothermal, but the only problem is it's very expensive to get to. But if you tie that with Bitcoin mining and you get the right investment, you will make your return, the ROI, much quicker than if you didn't have Bitcoin mining involved. And on top of that, you are just creating more energy, and you're making Serbia or the whatever country much more energy sovereign. Energy prices in Serbia have gone through the roof recently, and this is the case all over Europe. With Serbia is not adhering to EU law like Montenegro is, but we see now in Montenegro they are Miki's party, the prime minister of Montenegro. His party are pro-EU. They are adhering to EU green energy laws by 2030 to have as much of their energy mix into renewables. And in doing so, they've reduced their base load was coming 80% from coal. That's been reduced to 30% now. And the rest is relying on very weak hydro and then solar and wind. And it's destroying the energy grid in Montenegro. Next year, apparently, the coal plant in Montenegro is going to be closed down for refurbishment, and they're going to be solely relying on really sketchy energy. So they'll have to import, I guess. We have some ideas of how to help them fix this, and obviously involves Bitcoin mining, but we're trying to work it out with them. So there's a lot of stupid stuff going out there in the world with politicians in terms of energy and trying to be green and trying to save the planet from the boiling oceans and whatever, craziness they think that's going to happen. And it's funny that that Bitcoin, the thing that they think is actually helping to boil the oceans, is going to be the one that's actually going to save them at the end of the day.
It's clear that the work Filip and the team at Jan3 are doing has the potential to reshape entire nations. From leveraging Bitcoin mining to partnering with governments, their strategy for driving Bitcoin adoption offers hope for countries seeking financial freedom and sovereignty. But as Bitcoin continues to spread across borders, the big question remains: how long will it take for governments to fully embrace this decentralized digital currency? What obstacles lie ahead as more nation-states move toward hyper-Bitcoinization? And will Bitcoin truly become the foundation for a new global financial system? While we don't have all the answers today, one thing is certain: Bitcoin adoption is only just beginning, and its impact on the future of nation-states will be profound. Stay tuned, and remember to subscribe for the latest recaps, insights, and films about all things Bitcoin. This is 21 Voices. If you want to watch another episode, try this one here.